We are High Impact 102.1 FM.
Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the newspaper review, where we analyze all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us today. As usual, on the paper review, we try to analyze all of them to make you fully understand what's going on in the country and, of course, around the world. And the song which we started with was Fowls, Hypocrite, and so many things he said in that particular song just, every single time resonates with what is happening in the country every single day. Because, hey, it talks about hypocrisy. It talks about the fact that government are not really interested in doing what they are supposed to do. And they all just lie to us. But there was one also important thing he touched. He said, what about you, the voters, that always pretend like you've seen only two jokers on the ballot box? There are so many varieties of people. But at the end of the day, in this part of the world, when it's time for elections, when it's time for us to vote, it always boils down to probably two persons or three persons. I do not understand why it is that way. But we need to start understanding that as Nigerians and as people, we need to start understanding the importance we play in politics. We need to start understanding that the people are the life source of the politics. Without us, what is the politics all about? Without us, what is governance all about? You are the one being governed. You are the one that make the choices of how you want to be governed. And if you do not make the right choices, it will face you at the end of the day, because those choices that are wrong that you make will hurt you. Anyways, once again, I say welcome to the newspaper review. And of course, this show, you have the opportunity to always be a part of the conversation. And how do you get to be a part of the conversation? It's simple. All you need to do is call us up on 0700 1021 1021, or you can reach us via WhatsApp or the regular text message on 0907 224 5018. We're on all your social media handles. That is, we're on X, FKA, Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on TikTok at Impact 1021 FM. We are streaming live on Facebook at Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We are also streaming live on YouTube. So just in case you want to go watch what's happening in the studio right now, I'm saying hi, I'm waving to you at the camera. You need to go look at our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Impact 102.1 FM. Click the notification button so you can get to know whenever we are live right here in the studio. My name is Uche Okorie, and as usual, I won't be doing this alone, but I have someone different. Yeah, you heard a male's voice laughing. Yeah, it's different this time around. So hey, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Uche. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Lagos. Welcome to Newspaper Review, where we get to give you the latest news in the headlines and all of the editorials this morning. Ayodeji Ajiboye is my name, and always it's a pleasure to be on this show. I usually say that I'm not a morning person. But just like you rightly started on the show this morning, I would like to echo what you just said. And there's this particular quote from Franklin Roosevelt that resonates with me a whole lot whenever the electionary process is coming to the fore. It says our democracy cannot succeed unless those who express a choice are prepared to choose wisely. Yes,
that is a huge point, because the wiser your decision, the better for the country at the end of the day. But hey, it's a good one to have you right here, and it promises to be an exciting show. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and of course, when we come back on this side of the show, we'll be going into the papers proper. So hey, all you have to do is get your phones ready and be prepared for us to give you everything you need when it comes to information this morning right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We will be right back with more on the papers. We are your urban lifestyle station, our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Don't go nowhere. The newspaper review is just getting started.
Welcome to High Impact Studios, the place where creativity meets production perfection. Need an outstanding audio production? We deliver professional jingles, engaging voiceovers, and attention-grabbing radio promos that stand out from the crowd.
If you're in the podcasting world, we've got the ideal recording space for you. Our studio is designed to ensure pristine sound, making it the perfect place to bring your podcast to life.
But we don't stop at audio. Looking for a space to film your next big project? High Impact Studios offers customizable spaces for movie sets and video production,
giving you everything you need to create stunning visuals.
Whatever your vision, High Impact Studios is here to make it a reality.
Let's create something amazing together.
Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Hey, I hope you are still there ready for the newspaper review. In case you are just joining us, well, we are just getting started. So, hey, get prepared so we can give you the rundown of all the papers that we have with us this beautiful morning. It is a Friday, and I'm always looking forward to Friday. So, hey, let's go straight to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And the Vanguard leads with this one. It says, tax reform bills. Akpabio overrules Barrow. Tax reform bills. Akpabio overrules Barrow. It has a couple of writers to this one. It says, bills not withdrawn or suspended. Oh, okay. That's a turnaround. Yesterday on the papers, we heard that the bills have, temporarily been suspended. But Akpabio is saying this morning that the bills have not been withdrawn nor suspended. So, hey, there's still so much about the tax reform bills that will be in your ears for a very, very long time to come. Other writers on that particular one, it says, Vow Senate won't be intimidated by external pressures. Vow Senate won't be intimidated by external pressures. Senate removes Magunov from committee. South senators back bills, pass confidence vote in Akpabio. Reform must enjoy political technocratic acceptability. That is according to Fayemi. Arewa youth call Northern elites bluff, declare support for reform. The back and forth with this bill, it really is funny most times, because the thing is, Nigerians have not really gotten details of this particular bill, like in total. When I mean Nigerians, I mean the average Nigerian. When you talk about tax reform bills, the moment you even say tax, it's like, oh no more tax, no more tax, no more tax, no more tax, and all of that. They do not really have ground knowledge on what this tax reform bill is all about. And I kind of blame the National Orientation Agency.
Of course.
Because
the onus is on them.
Because I feel like it is your job. It is you who would make sure that the people get to understand these things that you are trying to, sell to the federal government is trying to sell to Nigerians, to everyday Nigerians. And so when we see back and forth, we see the elites, the Northern governor saying, hey, this thing is fully against the North. It's all about the North. They're not, and all of that and all of that. We also get to see certain groups in the North, the youth forum, coming out to say, hey, the elites, you guys are not saying all of these things because of us. We, the youth, were in support of the bill. The back and forth. It makes it look a bit more political. It makes it look like, is there something in this bill that we do not know about? Why is there so much rancor about it? In as much as every single day Nigerian, I will be honest, if you go out on the streets and you ask any Nigerian, there's going to be a new tax reform bill that is coming out. If you see 10 of them, probably 2 might be the ones that have like maybe a bit of knowledge of it. 8 might be telling you, I'm about to use Yoruba. That's what you will hear.
Yes.
Just a few days ago, November 30 to be precise, an amount of 50 naira leaves your account the moment 10,000 naira
leaves your
and
account.
above comes into your account. That amount, 50 naira, leaves your account. So to so many persons, they feel like we're being charged here and there, here and there. There's money coming out from our body one way or the other. So when they hear tax reform bill, man, here you go again, is what they say. And I keep saying it. The federal government needs to create
Awareness.
more awareness, break that distance between the people and the government. And the only way for you to do that is if there is enough awareness, and only the National Orientation Agency can fully do that. I just feel whoever the DG is of the NOA, there's more to be done. There's so many things that we could have had information on: CNG, the tax reform bills, the different bills that are coming out, different sicknesses, different things. I can't remember the last time I was, just going on, maybe listening on radio, and I hear those ads we used to hear when we were
Back
younger.
in the days,
and probably at the end of the day, you see the sign of this message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency. All those stuff.
I think that stopped a couple years ago.
all those stuff. I feel like, man, we're missing that interaction between the government and the people, and the government needs to really, really do more.
Well, truth be told, earlier form of tax regime is archaic. let's not deceive ourselves. But then, just like you rightly mentioned, the question on everyone's lips right now is that they want to understand what this tax reform bill is all about. Even to the educated, to the non-educated, everyone wants to get to the bottom of it. And this is begging for the question, just like you rightly mentioned, the National Orientation Agency. And that is what we try to do right here as well, making sure that to the best of our ability, we want you to understand that this is not about being being regressive or being antithetical. That's talking about the tax reform bills, but then jeering people aspirations towards what we can attempt to be a better Nigeria, a better society for every one of us to live on. I mean, Nigeria as it is right now, we don't want to, we should not deceive ourselves. Everything we're living on right now is petroleum rent.
Petroleum what?
Petroleum rent.
Okay. When you say petroleum rent, I'm really trying to understand what you're talking about. I get what you mean. Full picture, we depend on petrol.
Of course.
I get what you mean. And we have a larger economy that so many things can happen. But hey, so many other things that are on the papers. Let's get to it, man. Okay. Petroleum rent. Okay, we saw the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a huge picture. It happens to be with a particular, mobile network. So in case you want to find out what that is, you need to go look at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Beside that one, how we tackled 97% OML 17 oil theft. That is according to Elumelu. Underneath that one, 4 LP reps decamp to APC. You find that story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. PDP crisis. BOT decries shift of NEC meeting. Ask North Central to nominate IU's replacement. Underneath that one, Netzen's on board's mainstream energy solution for Nigeria's carbon registry. You find that story on page 22 in case you're interested in what it is all about. Jonathan's posters with new political platform flawed Kano 2027. I take that one more time. Jonathan's posters with new political platform flawed Kano. You find that story on page 9. I really would like to see.
This is still 2024.
Yeah. It's what happens with Nigeria. I one time I was speaking with Blade, and I was talking about how I feel the oppositions are always focused on elections rather than governance.
Rather than being the opposition.
Do you get me? Rather than governance. Because I feel like as an opposition, it is your duty to make sure that, how do we say this balance in Nigerian local language? We say we will put fire underneath them. They want to use the other word, but they'll put fire underneath you, but it's not literal fire. That is the pressure you
just make sure they are feeling the heat
of what's going on. At least they'll need to be behind and be telling you for a fact, no, this is wrong, this is not what we want. Rewind a couple of years ago when the subsidy under Jonathan's administration was being planned to take out and all of that, which fuel would have gone to about 120 naira.
We saw the protest.
We saw a huge protest led by the opposition, led by the
Massive.
led by the current president, who was the leader of the opposition then.
Back
we
then,
saw
yes.
different leaders with him. When I'm talking about leaders, now I'm talking about religious leaders, political leaders, literary leaders, a lot of leaders. Those were the opposition per se. And because they came out, a huge number of Nigerians were like, oh, the opposition are for us, we're going to come out with them. But we see today, all the opposition are thinking of is next election.
Honestly, yeah, just like Riley mentioned, I think the last time we had an opposition party
was when this party was the opposition.
Take it back to 2013.
Crazy, man.
That was when we really had opposition, because they made sure that they,
their voices were heard
everywhere you go to. They are always saying something. They are always tackling all of the initiatives that are coming out. But this particular, opposition parties, I mean, we have a couple of them. It's not just the the one with the umbrella, not just the one for that call themselves for the masses and what have you, but then all of these parties themselves, what is happening in house, they are not even settled.
You're right, and you say sometimes when your house is not even arranged,
I mean,
how do you expect to come
they're already picking the ones who can actually be the voice from these parties. Take a look at what's happening.
Man, it's really crazy, really crazy. But hey, we still have some other things on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Above the nameplate, OPEC extends Nigeria's 1.5 million barrel per day oil quota to 2026. You find that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Underneath it, Boko Haram, 10,000 people die in military custody. That is according to Amnesty International. That story is on page 5 of the Vanguard paper. Privatization of power sector, total failure. That is according to the Senate. What does that mean? If it is a total failure and the Senate are talking about it, are we saying there's a possibility
to go back?
That it's moving away from privatization back to public hands? And if that is a possibility, if that happens, who are we to say that the government is going to do any better handling the power sector? They were handling the power sector for years before moving to privatize it. So who's to say?
And since privatization, it has gone from
so, be mindful what you say.
Okay.
But I would like to hear what you want to say. It has gone from what to what?
Well, from good to better. Since you didn't allow me to speak when I wanted to, so
I said be mindful. I just wanted to know what you want to say.
Yes,
be mindful.
But then the discourse are being owed to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say. But to a great extent, let's even be honest. I think from the moment it went privatization, in as much as in some certain areas, maybe power is a bit better. Let's be honest. But is that enough? No, I don't think it's enough. I personally don't think it being privatized, it has been able to, gone to
solve the
minimal standard. It hasn't solved the problem. I think to a great extent, it hasn't really worked. I'm with the Senate on this one. In as much as we get to see some, certain things, but I think it is being private now. There could be more being done. What are these companies really doing to make sure there are power in every nooks and cranny of Nigeria? Till date, for a fact that it has been privatized, till date, I could still remember the last time we got to fix something in some neighborhoods. People still pay to fix some of these things in their neighborhood, in as much as the NEC will come out to say you're not supposed to do the one to do. But when you go to the neighborhoods, when you go to the places, it's still the people who pay, and these are private companies. So for me,
I think this thing is it happens based on the vicinity or the local community. Because I mean, if you go to some highbrow areas where these people as well know that you're right, what you're entitled to, I bet they don't do things like that in such places.
How many highbrow areas do we have in Nigeria? So at the end of the day, you see that it's the poor people, the people who don't really have, who keep suffering for all of these things. Because now, like you said, the highbrow areas, how many of them? We're over 60% of people living under poverty, and poverty line being you not being able to afford $1 per day. That's 1,700. So if over 60% of Nigerians are living under poverty, and most of their areas obviously do not have power. And if something gets spoiled, then Who fixes it? They do. I remember when I was in Abuja at a particular neighborhood which is so poor, we bought the transformer. Even when we bought the transformer, it took about 6 months for us to contribute more money
to fix it,
to get it for us to have power. So who will fight for those people? So I say privatization really hasn't done their job, because there has been no due diligence. No one has really been checkmating them to make sure that, hey, you're a private company, you're working, you're making this money, serve the people, rather than just, take the people for granted and say, what will they do? I will not need it now. Do you get what I mean? Yes. It is pitiful, and I think our power company, the government, needs to do more to checkmate them. If it means taking it away to give to better handlers, then the better. The government needs to understand that the people come first, rather than those ones who are elites, who are, in charge of these companies. The people using it come first. The average Nigerians come first. We are the reason why you are in governance. And if you can't do your job, please leave and let someone else do the job. Finally, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Favortimi activist group plan nationwide protest December 10. And you find that story on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper, and that's the much we can take for the Vanguard this morning.
And away from the Vanguard newspaper, let's quickly touch down with the Punch newspaper this morning. Major headlines on the Punch this morning say 29 states spent 2 trillion naira on travels and others. That's according to a report. And the writer to that story is saying state government borrowed 533 billion naira, generated 1.992 trillion naira in their internally generated revenue, and then their service debt is at 658 billion naira. We're talking about the bogus amount of money right here.
Huge amount.
And then spent on travels and others.
Man, all those things make me. It really baffles me. Not because I do not understand that we've been seeing this for years and years and years, but because of how horrible things have come economically in Nigeria. So I keep wondering, where are these people traveling to? Where are you going to?
What are you doing?
What are you doing there?
Jamboree.
The people that need you are here. And over 29 states have spent 2 trillion on travels. Now imagine 2 trillion into road networks for 29 states. Imagine 2 trillion naira into power sector for 29 states. Imagine 2 trillion naira just to invest into the economy. Put 2 trillion naira into the economy of those 29 states. Something will change. It might not be for everybody, but thousands of people.
But don't forget they are borrowing. Yeah, they borrowed over 533 billion.
I have no issues with borrowing. Let me be honest with you. I have no issues with borrowing. All I have issues with is what are you doing with the money you've borrowed? Do you understand me? Yes. Let's even look at businesses. For businesses to survive, the top businesses, you take loans.
Yes.
You invest your loans into something. There's profits. You pay back your loans. You move on. But it's different from governance. When loans are taken, it's meant to be invested in the people. For the people. And how do you invest this? Infrastructurally, you invest them. In the power sector, you invest them. But these things are not being done. We see today someone comes out to say, oh, we're taking $2.7 billion loan for so. 3, 4, 5 years later, nothing has happened in that sector at which you took loans for.
So-called projects that they tend to commission are not even completed in 4 years.
Man, it's really pitiful. And again, I feel the onion lies on the average Nigerians. What are you saying about all of these things? Or do you just conclude,
yeah, God,
really?
We serve a living God. All right. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning, it's been said that military retirees short finance ministry over unpaid entitlement. They don't just owe pensioners. Okay. Just below that, there's this one coming from the Customs Service that says Customs plan auction after 2-week ultimatum. So yes, if you have anything to do with the Customs right now, and then it's gone beyond 2 weeks, just know that your goods or your products are going to be auctioned after 2 weeks. They don't want to keep backlogs anymore. I mean, let's just clear everything as soon as possible. Just beside that, there's a news coming from Lagos as well that says no report of Lagos missing party girls. That's according to the police in Lagos. I remember, I think that was a couple of days ago where it was said that the number of missing people has to do with people who enjoy the nightlife the most and all of those things. But then this one is coming out now to say there's been no report of missing party girls. We hope that they're found, and yes, that they return back home safely. Another headline on the Punch newspaper this morning: Amnesty alleges 10,000 die in Nigerian military detention.
Huge numbers, man.
10,000.
But it's alleged, so nothing proven yet.
Yeah,
so.
not proven yet. Just it. And above the nameplate, we have to talk about the tax reform once again, because yes, you know, in this part of the world, whenever we have something bopping, it has to bop all through till we get to the root of it. Yes. So now it's saying that Senate denies suspending debate as certain senators are looking to meet. That one is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper, and above the nameplate, it's also saying that APC berates faction flooding Kano with Jonathan's 2027 posters. So yes, it's not even the opposition who is doing this; it's another faction of the ruling All Progressives Congress. Okay. In front of the nameplate, there's this one says PDP trustees tackle National Working Committee over the National Executive Council, and they are looking to meet with Wike in January. It looks like they turn in their flesh here. Special meeting with him in January.
Man, Wike. Well, it is what it is, and I think as time goes on, as we gradually right into 2027, we'll be seeing more and more of all these things. We'll be seeing more reports, and all of these things will be all up in our face. And so let's just prepare. But I think the PDP has so much to do. If they want to come back into the game big time, the PDP has so much to do. There's so much in-house clearing that needs to be done, so much in-house settlement, so much in-house understanding, as well as other opposition party. We see the Labour Party losing about 4 of their House of Representatives members to the APC.
The campaign, yes.
And the Labour Party coming out to say it won't be taken lightly. They will have to lose their seats. Let's see how that pans out. So many of all those things.
Does that really happen?
Well, constitutionally, it is really what it's meant to be. But we've seen in so many times where it happens in this climb in Nigeria that nothing happens at the end of the day. So sometimes you ask yourself, how are the rules? Why are there so much loopholes in the rule book whereby politicians can just easily take advantage of these things? Because we know in Nigeria's political electioneering, it's not really about you. It's about the party.
Yes.
That's what you're coming out with. So the party is voted for, aside from the fact that you are being voted for, you are representing a party. And so sometimes when you leave the party, there's this, conundrum on, should this person actually still hold the post while he's not representing the party, or does the party have to bring out somebody to represent them, or the person continues? And it's all the back and forth. But we'll be all right last. Man, still something on the papers of the Punch?
No, that's it on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Okay, that's the Punch for this morning. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation if you reach us on 0700 1021 1021, or if you text or WhatsApp us on 0907 224 5018. We are also live on YouTube at impact 102.1 FM, so you can see us live right here in the studio. If you're someone who prefers watching, well, we are here right here on impact 102.1 FM on YouTube. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification button so you can get to know whenever we are live right here in the studio. From the Punch newspaper straight to the Guardian newspaper, it leads with health. It says National Health and Demography Survey: spike in teenage pregnancies stirs their public health social concerns. I take that one more time. Spike in teenage pregnancy stirs their public health social concerns. I won't talk about this, but I would like us to, talk more on the papers, see what the papers has for us, and probably when we have a little time before the end of the show, we will really talk about this. So let's just move on. Beside that one, LP Fumes vows legal action as 4 lawmakers defect to APC. You find that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Detained Okwama president died in military facility. Go look at page 29 of the Guardian for that story. Hebrew Army chief advocates military media partnership on security. Hebrew Army chief advocates military media partnership on security. Page 7 is where you find that story. Beside that one, politics, corruption, bane of education in Nigeria, says Tetfon boss. Page 2 is where that story is. Beside that one, 2027, Jonathan's campaign posters flawed Kano. Page 3 is where you find that particular story. Activists seek bail for Farotimi, fought police involvement. You see that one on page 28. Akpabio counters Barrow, insists tax bills on course despite opposition. Page 6 is where you see that story this morning. And if you look at the business page 15 of the Guardian newspaper today, you'll find this story. Nigeria's budget under threat as OPEC extends production cuts. Nigeria's budget under threat as OPEC extends production cuts. And finally, on the Guardian newspaper this morning, FG reopens probe panel as fire guts Nsipar warehouse and power tools. And power, I go again. FG opens probe panel as fire guts NSIPA warehouse and power tools. You find that story on page 29. Empire is still in the news.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
You don't expect it to just go down like that.
But the thing for me with Empire is the fact that, yeah, we heard a few persons were involved in Empire, but we also saw that at some point it wasn't really functioning. At some point, we didn't really see those people who are, some were Nigerians who got the whole thing here and didn't even go to do the Empire. They were just waiting to get paid.
Yes.
Without, participating. That's how horrible some of us can be in this part of the world. We want free money, but we do not want to do the work. How would you participate in a government program, but you do not want to, do the program? You just want to be getting paid. Some have jobs, but they still apply for it so they could have extra money from somewhere.
Well, I think why the Empire is coming into the news once again now is due to the backlog of the allowances or the salaries that were being frozen by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when they came in. The Nsipar, this social investment stuff program here that was being initiated during the past administration, and they were the ones who were in control and in charge of this Empire. So now the warehouse getting burnt when they are still clamoring to get the backlog of their allowances actually gives a pointer to something.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. When you put it that way, I get to see what it's all about. But I'm only more interested in the fact that there needs to be more probing. There needs to be an investigation, because Empower had so much force back then, and we saw so many things that were not right with Empower. And so if this government is saying they need to investigate, yes, investigate. But what comes out of the investigation? Will heads roll? Or is it just going to be, we've investigated and we find out that so everything was smooth, everything was good? But let's be honest, is there going to be a result out of this panel? We see that every single time.
I doubt. Honestly.
Straight to the point, my G. Straight to the point. Well, that's the Guardian for you this morning.
And away from the Guardian newspaper, let's touch down with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Top of the story on the Daily Trust this morning is saying reps move to stop multiple budget. And right after that is saying proposed deadline for presentation. Reps move to stop multiple budget. Proposed deadline for presentation. That one's on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And just below the nameplate, I say tax reform bills, we are going ahead for Nigeria's sake. That's coming from Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, who's also mentioned it that the only person who can withdraw the bill is the president himself. No one and nobody born of a man or a woman can withdraw that bill. All right. Just beside that, you have Islam not against girl-child education. That one is coming from Sultan. Islam not against girl-child education. Beside that, Business News is saying Max airplane carrying Zulum's deputy orders makes emergency landing. Thank God it landed safely. And not some stories that touch on the headlines this morning. And then below that, you also have ex-servicemen shot finance ministry over unpaid entitlement. That one is on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and that's it on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Well, the Daily Trust newspaper having so much for us, looking about servicemen being short, talking about reps moving to stop multiple budgets and all of that. So many stories on the front page of the papers. But hey, let's go on a little break, and when we come back, we will be talking about that story that has to do with spike in teenage pregnancy and its dire to public health. That is real one thing that I think we need to pay more attention to.
Emergency.
A real emergency too. So hey, remember you can always be a part of the conversation if you call us on 0700 1021 1021, or if you reach us via WhatsApp on 0907 224 5018. And so you can get to tell us what you think about things happening in the country, or generally things happening around you alone, or basically from around the world. Don't go nowhere. It is the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We will be right back.
The democracy has not given us peace, but we must tinker with our democracy.
I'm upset with my friend that came before me.
Oh.
Yes, I listened to him and he shocked me by turning things upside down.
But can I say something? Realize that we all have a right to our opinions. Yes. So that's his opinion.
This is On Record, where every word matters.
Then we avail you, our listener, the opportunity of calling into the program to ask questions from our guests on the topic for the day.
Join us as we discuss topical issues from 9 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Mondays to Fridays.
On Record, where every word matters.
Our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Welcome back to the show. It is the newspaper review right on our Impact, where we analyze all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us. We've looked at a couple of papers this morning. We looked at the Guardian, the Punch newspaper, the Daily Trust, and of course the Vanguard newspaper. But there's one story we want to talk about, which was the story that made front page on the headlines of the Guardian newspaper this morning. I talked about the spike in teenage pregnancy that stirs dire public health and social concerns. Now, I want to talk about this in particular for one reason and one reason only. How crazy things have gotten in the country in terms of, how do I say this? In terms of young people not being interested in education as much as it used to be in the past. And I say this because growing up as a young child, I think in my generation and my generation of people and the generation before then, once we are young people in our secondary school, even from primary education, all our thoughts were, I want to go to secondary school. From there, I go to this university. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a pilot. Some says I want to be an engineer. Those were like the four major courses everybody wants to do. There were spare courses that a few persons, later get into.
Maybe aeronautic engineers.
Oh, really? In this part of the world, But you get me. That is the first thought. As children, it was it was engraved in our head. It was everybody had four courses in mind: engineer, doctor, lawyer, pilot. Doctors too, and all of that. Not even if many of us didn't go to university to study all that. In our head, it was engraved, and all we think, in general, we're thinking we need to get an education to have a future. But nowadays, it is different. You go to see young people. No one is telling you they want to be doctors. No one is saying they want to be lawyers. No one is saying all of those stuff.
They just want to
make money. I want to be rich. And in their head, getting rich is not right now.
It's
in
not
their
about
head,
getting educated.
it's not about getting educated.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame them. Why do I say I wouldn't blame them? We've come to a society where, while we were coming, education is the key to success was a statement given to us.
Yeah.
And a huge number of us didn't become successful because we became educated. A huge number of us are not using the education we get to
From the
fend for ourselves. And so when you see younger people who see their uncles and their aunties that they used to look up to, who went to school, who did all of that, and are on the streets having nothing for themselves, and they see people who were on the streets who didn't even go to school, who didn't do nothing, are in control of the power, are in charge of major things, are riding the most expensive cars. You see corrupt politicians who many do not even go to school. They go into politics, siphon money, nothing happens to them. All these things make the average young people feel like, hey, it's not really about education anymore. It's all about just
just be somewhere, I can be in a room, and then there's an inflow of cash.
It's not about education anymore. It's just all about getting rich. And I link this now straight to the fact that teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
And when you see young people, you see a child who's just out of secondary school, he has a few cash around in his hands. And you're seeing we are in a society whereby a guy is talking to a lady and everybody's saying, if you no get money, no answer. And all those stuff. You see girls who feel like to go into a relationship, the person needs to have money first. What does that breed? It breeds a society where everybody are just looking for financial gains. And once everybody's just looking for financial gains, and that starts from a very young age, what do? A young boy who wants to give a young girl money, he's definitely going to ask for something. And what is he asking for? Sex. Asking for sex at that moment. And these are people who are not educated sexually. These are people who have not had enough education about, all these things.
I feel the society, or should I say the organizations who are supposed to deal with this, have been a little bit silent when it comes to the issue of teenage pregnancy. I think at the point in time, I saw one report from the United Nations, I think that was in maybe last year or so, or maybe 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And this report was from 34 nations, and says 29 of which of them were in Africa, and the rate of adolescent fertility was 80 births or higher per 1,000 adolescents between the ages of 15 and 19 years.
It's crazy, man. It really is. It really is. And I think the government needs to do more. There needs to be some sort of re-engineering, rethinking that would take us back to that point where we understand the importance of education.
And this thing actually has consequences.
A huge consequence.
Serious health issues.
A huge one. I tell you, a huge one. Even aside from that, it means you're breeding a future of people who do not believe in education. Because if this sort of people, young ones, teenagers, keep getting pregnant
and they give birth,
keep giving birth, you're building a future of single parenthood, because many of them won't end up getting married too. Whoever got them pregnant, many won't get married to them. Many at the end of the day won't even get married at all because they have a child. Because that is one thing that this society, we see that single mothers face in the society. They get rejected and all of that. And I wonder what happened to the men that put them in that situation. They didn't get themselves pregnant, but the men are still respected. But the women are dejected that, she's a single mother. But the man who is a single father, Okorini, he did try. At least is living up to his expectation. I do not understand the double standards. But anyways, there's
a big disparity.
I digress, But we need to understand. We need to understand. The government needs to understand that we need to go back to that time where education is paramount. And how do you do that? How do you take that shift back? Why everybody wanted to go to school at our younger generations is because we saw that those ones before us that were successful are people that were educated. They were people that were, they were the lecturers, they were the, the doctors, the engineers, the teachers, people that went to the four walls of school to get an education. those were the people that were successful.
But you know that this thing can also be as a result of sexual violence.
Well, yes, there's no doubt about it. It could come as a result of sexual violence, but what is the percentage of teenage pregnancy that we have comes from sexual violence? It happens, definitely. There are rapes, it happens. There are people who are, taken advantage of. But what is the percentage that brings teenage pregnancy? Most of the teenage pregnancy we see are consensual sex among teenagers. Sometimes maybe adults to a teenager, which is wrong, completely wrong. But so many of them nowadays, they are young people. You see a child that's just out of secondary school, probably 17, 18. He has a girl who is about 15, 16. She's pregnant. They're having a relationship, and you see them post all of us Snap and all of that.
You see some things and you just shake it and be like,
you get me?
What's happening?
It never used to be like that. Before now, you're 16, you're 15, you're not thinking of a woman. Even if you're thinking of a woman as a man, you're not thinking of it because you want to settle down. You're scared of pregnancy because you feel like if this lady gets pregnant, my life is ruined. There's no, my education is stopping everything. But now it's not like that because our society has become so corrupt that it is those ones who are not going through the right path of life are the ones who are in charge of everything.
The less income.
Do you understand? You see those ones who look at how much are being paid to lecturers, how much are being paid to doctors. Doctors are leaving because salaries are not being paid. How much are being paid to those ones who decide that, okay, I want to go to school, I want to do the right thing, I want to be in the society and do right things. What is being given to them? What sort of appreciation is being shown to make people understand that yes, this is the right way to go? More needs to be done for those sectors. That is what is going to convince the future generation to understand that I think I need to go to school to become successful. Because if that doesn't happen, we're going to continue like this for a very long time to come. Because nobody wants to go spend, my goodness sake, you spend 6 years in secondary school, 6 years in primary school, or now it's changed, 8 years in basic, 3 years in secondary school, 4 years in university. For some people go as much as 5 to 6 years, and for those ones who are unfortunate to be on a strike, go as much as 8 to 9, 10 years in the university.
or maybe you didn't study enough and then you get to spill, splash, flush.
You get me? So you could have an education all your life that takes about 20 years, and you're out and you're earning pennies. And those ones who probably didn't have an education are getting the juicy sports.
I think penny is a strong word. Stipend should be okay.
Okay. Stipend. It becomes demoralizing. So what do you expect? It creates a future of people who feel that is not the way to go. Who feels that probably the wrong side or being against the right things, being against the rule of law is the right way to go. Because apparently those are the people,
social vices,
those are the people earning enough, those are the people who can afford to live in the society we are in now. How many people can buy clothes in boutiques?
I mean,
how many people? Let's
how much a top is sold for?
Let's be honest with ourselves. How much is their salary that you now bring it out and you say you want to go to that place? Man, anyways, it's really crazy. So you see all these things and you ask yourself, how then do you want the future to be better? So when you look at all this with teenage pregnancy, everything with poverty, corruption, everything's moves together and goes back to the table of the government. What are you doing to make the society livable? What are the rules you're keeping in place to make it easier for people to move, for people to have a better society?
Well, hopefully the powers that be and also the World Health Organization will maybe set up, more actions to advocate and also bring attention to adolescents to build, just because this is more like an epidemic right now.
A huge epidemic. Go even look at the education sector. When was the last time sexual education was being taught? We take many things for granted in this part of the world. Our education sector, something which is supposed to be huge, something which the government is supposed to make sure it's 100. It's not where it's meant to be. Go look at the curriculums. Go look at the curriculums. At one time, I was in the education sector as teacher, head teacher, and all of that. I saw the curriculum. I saw some things that we are learning, and I reversed back to what I learned. It's still The same.
Nothing
How
missing.
would you want to be teaching a
changed.
child this year what I was taught in 1993, 1994? It is pitiful. I think that's backwardness of our education sector, and that's another topic for another day that needs a huge debate. But that's how we call it an end to today's edition of the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We want to say a very big thank you to everybody who made sure that they are here with us, listening to us, opened your ears to us. We say thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate you for doing that to us. Tomorrow, the Big Five will be in your ears. That is a recap of all the 5 top stories that made out this week. But I won't be here for that. I will be back to your ears on Monday for another exciting edition of the newspaper review. Until then, my name remains Uche Okorie.
All right, Ayodeji Ajiboye is signing out this morning. Do have for yourself a lovely Friday and enjoy your weekend as well.
Definitely enjoy your weekend, but do not forget the morning impact continues. So stick to the dial 102.1 FM, our Impact Radio, for you to have 100% of radio experience. Bye bye for now.
The democracy